Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast. And here's your host, John Chapman.
What is going on, faithful? It is absolutely incredible to be with you guys today, and I wanted to do a quick show to jump on. I know it's been a crazy week and whatever else, and man, we're finally without football, which hurts. But what I want to do is, my inbox, it's funny because a lot of the DMs and emails and all those different things that I get, I always want to look and kind of see, okay, are there narratives that continue to show up in these comments and DMs and tweets and whatever else? And it's quarterbacks right now. Now, I know that this has been handled considerably by a lot of people, and I understand that. And I don't want this to be necessarily a Brock Purdy or Trey Lance conversation, even though I want to jump in and out of that. What I want to try to create, and this is the whole goal of this episode, is what are the different avenues or options? Look, Brock Purdy and Trey Lance are going to be the quarterbacks of the 49ers. That is just a given. However, what is going to happen with that third or fourth quarterback spot? What do you do in the draft? Is it free agent? Is it all of these different types of things? And I think the answer is yes. I strongly consider the 49ers getting to at least 4 rostered quarterbacks before the season starts. I think that you do add one in free agency, and I think that you do add one in the draft. Now, the good news is, if we're just looking at the draft, there are a lot of picks to go after a quarterback. And I think that you will add one. I really, really do. We started, shout out to the big man himself, Josh. We started working on all of our draft content, and we're going through it, just trying to get as much data and numbers and analytics and storylines as we possibly can before we piece this big board together. And man, we're going to have a lot of players. In the past, I did 200 last year on our big board. This year, we're going to hit a much bigger number. And I think that we have to, because the Niners are picking all over the place. And the Niners are very unorthodox in their draft picks. They have a completely different big board than anybody else. Now, I know you can say that about every team, but you have no damn clue what is going on with the 49ers and their draft picks. So we've got to cover more. And so I want to make sure that we have a baseline. 250 is kind of the floor for the amount of draft work we're going to be doing. Trying to get closer to 300. I'm doing this full time now, right? We got to step this up. What's up, Tommy? He says, happy President's Day. Shout out to all the kiddos at school. Love all the hashtag CCs, man. I love it. Hey, Yatsik, the history man himself right there. Sonia, what's going on, girl? And so, these are the types of things I want to get to. And, I've got at the bottom of the screen, it's rolling through all the draft picks. There's a lot of options. When do you take a quarterback? I don't know. It's easy to say, well, Shanahan can pick a late round quarterback and turn him into something good. We saw that with Purdy. We saw it with Mullins, who's decent. He's still in the NFL, get paid. You got 3 third rounders, 3 fifths, 1 sixth, and then 3 sevenths. And so a lot of picks. 4 7. Sorry about that. I was like, man, my numbers don't add up there. Where do you take a quarterback? So what we're doing is, man, we're diving into quarterbacks from that 3rd to 7th round. And we're going to try to get to know all of them because I do believe the 49ers will add one. I do. Now, you're adding them with the wonderful Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. Okay. Leighton on Twitter, he came through and he said this. He said, Lance needs reps. That nobody can deny. Trey Lance is great. He's got all the potential in the world. What does potential mean? It just means you haven't done it yet. Well, how do you get him ready? You got to play. You got to play meaningful snaps. He's got all of the mental reps that you could possibly have, which is awesome. But you got to get to the point where it's time to go. He's got to see it. He's got to make mistakes. He's got to do that. Every single quarterback has to have that opportunity. He hasn't had it yet. Through whose fault? Well, he rested the first year. Whenever he did get in, he hurt his finger. Then he banged up his knee. And then the second year finally got in and snapped his ankle in half. So injuries are an issue for sure, but he's got to get those opportunities. Look at Dan. Dan K says, man, when does the season start? Well, we've got the important dates. That's the good news, is there's lots of stuff going on, and we're going to be just fine. Because, man, the scouting combine starts 1 week from today. Now, the workouts and all that stuff usually about 10 days from now. Then you got free agency March 15th. That's not too far, 3.5 weeks. April 17th, offseason workouts begin. April 27th, the NFL draft begins. May 5th, rookie minicamp. Late May, OTAs. Late July, training camp. And then August is when, the preseason games start. So, Dan, you don't have to wait too long. The NFL, if they're good at anything, it's making sure the conversation stays on the NFL. That's just what it is. And they're doing exactly that. They have spread it out to where it's year-long content. Thank you, NFL. I appreciate that very much. And I'm excited about that. Tommy asked, do they trade up? If you would have asked me last year, I would have said, hell yeah. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan jumped all up and down the board until last year. 0 trades last year. First year, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan showed up. They tied the NFL record for most draft trades in 1 year. Tied it. To last year, 0 trades. So trying to predict what they're going to do, good God. I don't know how to answer that, to be honest with you. What's up, Jordan? Good morning, man. I think this is the best case. What should 49ers fans be rooting for in this quarterback situation? Dan says Lance starts week 1 and never looks back. That's the best case scenario. Now, why do I say that? Because the ceiling, right? I've been on record many times. I love Brock Purdy. I love Trey Lance. This is not an anti-Purdy whatever. But if you look at the traits, the physical traits, Lance has them in spades. There's a reason why he went top 3. There's a reason why Brock Purdy went 262. Because the traits, the size, the speed, the arm power, the throwing power, the throwing everything. I mean, it's just different. It's just different. He's younger, he's stronger, he's faster, all those things. Now, one of the things, David, he commented on this as well in Patreon. He sent me a DM. He said, one narrative that won't die is imagine Trey with this big arm. He put quotes around it too. He says, from what I've seen, Brock is a better scrambler in the same number of games. But yeah, Trey might be able to win in a 60-yarder, but what do you want? You want both. But yeah, a short area burst, Brock Purdy's got it. Top end speed, not even close. Now, the eye test works fine. Trey didn't have to do all of the stuff at the combine. He didn't have to. He was guaranteed top pick, whatever else. Brock had to do everything. And so Brock showed his 40-yard dash is terrible. He's one of the slowest quarterbacks in the league. However, he also showed his 10-yard burst, one of the best in the league. So he gets there quick. That's that, short area agility that we saw maneuvering around the pocket and things like that. Trey doesn't have that. Trey does not have short area burst, but he does have physicality. Can Kyle Shanahan uncork that? The report came out that, and this, I thought this was funny, that the 49ers were underwhelmed with Trey's scrambling ability. And I'm like, wait a second. You don't see him scramble in college film, right? We don't have much film on Trey Lance. Now, if you want to see that, we've got all the film breakdowns that you could ever want over on our Patreon page. And the thing that I'm going to be working on this week, I'm going to be going through every single run and pass from this year, including the preseason. I'm going to break down every single one of those, all 22 film. Now, if you're already on Patreon, you could just type in Trey Lance in that little search field, and you can see all of last year's. I've already put that together for last year. So if you want to see every throw, every run that he's done, just kind of unabridged without audio, just so you can kind of get your own diagnosis of what Trey does well, what he does bad. It's every single rep, every pass attempt, every rush attempt that he had last year. That's already up. This week, I'm going to be working on that. for this, the 2022 season. So if you want to see those things, it's easy to say, well, Trey did this or Trey did that and look at the stats. Whoa. Every play provides context. How was he versus the blitz? How was he versus this? Now, this year sucked because the Chicago game was a monsoon, but that's just the way it goes. So you kind of got to play those things into this whole thing. Now, the good news is this. And again, back to Dan's comment, the thing that we should be wanting to happen is Trey Lance gets the starting nod. And why did he get the starting nod? We could talk about that, right? He got it because Brock got hurt. If Brock Purdy did not get injured, this offseason would have been much more stressful. Let me back that up. If Brock Purdy stayed healthy, and let's just say they hypothetically, they still lose the NFC championship, whatever. I don't care. Not saying that would have happened. Let's just play down that argument. You have to, Shanahan's like, man, we've got this, quote unquote Ferrari could be parked in the garage. He's finally healthy. We're just going to roll with Brock. And I think that's what they would have done. That's what I would have done. Brock got you the NFC championship. You keep playing with Brock. This allows you to go for upside while still having Brock there, because Trey's going to get all those snaps, throughout OTAs, minicamp. At some point during minicamp, I think Brock's going to come back. They're going to be cautious with him. Preseason, that's when he should be good. You roll with Trey Lance week 1. And if Trey Lance is amazing, boom, you stick with it. If he's not, then you go to Purdy and you're right back where you were last year, which is not a bad consolation prize. It's not. But you got, at some point, the 49ers have to see what Trey can do. And, one of the things that stands out to me most is, if I post anything about Brock Purdy or Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo, if I just mention their name on Twitter, you get 1/3 of Twitter coming to tell you how Jimmy Garoppolo is the greatest human being that's ever. And, he's better than Joe Montana, whatever. Or you get people that's like, Brock Purdy's the guy, no matter what. Then you get people that are like, Trey Lance is the guy, no matter what, whatever. And, people have to crap on the other two options. Not most of you guys or girls, because you guys are here. And so I don't know. I don't like that. And I hate the way that is. I like Jimmy Garoppolo. I really, really do. I want him to go elsewhere. I want him to get paid. I want him to be the guy, and I want him to be successful. I want it to be in the AFC, though. And I hope he signs for over $30 million, which I think he will. And I hope the 49ers get a 3rd-round comp pick for it. I think we will. But I want whoever's under center to be successful. When that was Nick Mullins, it was him. When it was CJ Beathard, it was him. When it was Hoyer, it was him. When it was Jimmy, it was him. When it was Purdy, it was him. And when it's Trey, I want him to be successful as well. So that's the right attitude to have. Now, transitioning, my Phil, shout out to Philip on Patreon. He put this on there, and I wanted to include this because I think it's important. He says, people that are talking about trading Trey Lance is crazy. I'm with you. I cannot find a narrative in the world that trading Trey Lance would make sense unless somebody was offering multiple firsts. And even then, I'm just like, he's the only healthy quarterback. Why would you trade your only healthy quarterback option? He's about a week out from being finally approved. Now, it could take longer. Stuff goes bad. We've seen that with injuries. But imagine if you did trade Trey Lance and you just had Brock Purdy under contract. Now you've got to bring in a veteran and you've got to do a draft, and these guys have to compete, right? Now, Phil goes on to ask, he's like, is it better to get an expensive veteran who wants to be quarterback one or a less expensive veteran backup who won't lose a game? That is the key. I want the cheap veteran quarterback that won't lose a game, that brings experience and can calm these young pups down. Trey's 22, Brock's 23. I want experience. Now, you got Brian Creasy, who I thought did a hell of a job last year as quarterback's coach. But if we look at the free agents, there's not a lot of them. So let's go through them. You know, some of these you can discount really quick. Derek Carr, no. You can't pay that much money, even if you wanted to, no. Baker Mayfield, hell no. It doesn't have the experience and not the attitude you want. Sam Darnold, I wouldn't mind Sam Darnold, but he's only 25. I want, again, what do I want? I want experienced, and I want somebody that's going to come in that's cheap, right? Darnold fits cheap and upside, but we already have that in spades. So that's why I'm going to say no to Darnold. Teddy Bridgewater, all right, now we're talking. He's 30 years old. He's going to cost a little more. He got $6.5 million last year. That's about the number he'll be getting again. Do you want to pay $6 million? That might be a little too much. Case Keenum, he's 35. I would love to have Case Keenum. Mason Rudolph, no. Jacoby Brissett would love. He got $4.6 million last year. I would love Jacoby Brissett. Joe Flacco, no. Andy Dalton, he's 35. I'd love Andy Dalton. He got $3 million last year. Yes, bring him in. Mike White, nope, no experience. CJ Beathard, he's back. He's a free agent. He's 29. No. Kyle Allen, no. Tyler Heineke, yeah, I'd be cool with that. But I don't think that he would want to come be number 3. Heineke wants to start, wants to play, wants to be a number 2. That's why I don't think you can get him. Blaine Gabbert, hell no. My least favorite 49er of all time. I hate Blaine Gabbert. Can't stand the man. Can't stand him. Chase Daniel, 36, $2 million. Yeah, I'd be cool with that. Nick Mullins, 27. Nope. Drew Lock, nope. Brandon Allen, nope. Josh Johnson, nope. Sudfeld, 29. He's a free agent now. Yes. Absolutely yes. I would love Nate Sudfeld to be my number 3. I would love that. Peterman, no. Jeff Driscoll, no. Cooper Rush, yes. 29. He doesn't have the play experience, but yes, I would take him. Brett Ripien, no. Tyler Huntley, no. John Wolford, no. We're getting into some weird names. Trace McSorley, no. Stidham, no. Bryce Perkins, no. Easton Stick, no. Gardner Minshew, hell yes. He's going to get paid. Shane Buechele, no. So that's all of the current free agent quarterbacks listed. I don't know. Which one of those names would you choose? So if you were choosing and you could have any of those quarterbacks I just mentioned as backup quarterback, which ones would you prefer? Because that's where I think it gets interesting. And I'm seeing some of these. Pat the Truth says our Ferrari is a Geo Metro. When I first started dating my wife, she was driving a Geo Metro. So there we go. Don't talk trash. Let's see here. Lotha Truth says, yeah, Andy Dalton. Interesting. Bring back Sudfeld, says Rob D. I like that. Yeah, I love this. This is awesome. Nate Sudfeld, Kyle likes him. He knows the system. Yatsik says Sudfeld as well. I love it. I love it. There's lots of options there. So, yes, you got to draft one. Yes, I want to bring in one of those as well. You usually have 4 quarterbacks heading into training camp. You whittle it down to 3. Kyle's been pushing for that 4th quarterback spot. Let's see. You've been trying. Poison Protector says, do you think this is a make it or break it year for Lance? Yes, for the 49ers. No, for Lance's career. He's 22. No quarterback in the NFL has a make it or break it year at 22. That doesn't happen. Now, could it be that for the 49ers? Yes. Because you got Brock Purdy there. The expectations are so high, all those types of things for sure. But like you're looking across the NFL, like I think that the story of Love is interesting because, you kind of see what Jordan Love's doing. He's 24 right now. He has not played much. He started 1 game in his entire career. That's it. And he's going into his 4th year. He was drafted in 2020. So he played 2020, 2021, 2023. This is the 4th year of his deal. That's kind of the worst case scenario for Trey Lance. Trey Lance is going into his 3rd year. Jordan Love's going into his 4th year. That's the worst case scenario for there. So little nuanced answer. Hopefully that appeases some. But yeah, that's kind of where it is. Thomas says this. Purdy shows that there is more to just physical attributes when drafting. What do you think the Niners' criteria for a quarterback are? Well, that's the thing. So, like, if you're trying to measure what Kyle Shanahan wanted in a quarterback, and you hold up Trey Lance and Brock Purdy, you're going to miss out. Now, if you hold up Trey Lance and CJ Beathard, you're going to start to see similarities. Strong arm, pocket, toughness, right? And physicality enough to elongate a play. That's what he wants. He wants tough, he wants strong arm, and he wants a big body. But when you throw Nick Mullins, when you throw Brock Purdy, when you throw, guys like that in there, that changes because there's not a lot of similarities. I could say from the generic roster standpoint, high academic IQ and intelligence is so damn important. And those two guys, if you're trying to find the one area where Brock Purdy and Trey Lance have in common, it's up here. It's all up here. Trey Lance, again, everybody kind of came out and said might be one of the most intelligent people drafted at the position, period. Dude's absolutely off the charts. Brock Purdy, he took the sports science test and had one of the highest scores ever for a quarterback. Smart. 82 out of 90 players on the 90-man roster this past year, all were academic, all something. And so intelligence. Outside of that, I don't know. There's, and I'll say this for Shanahan too. I think this is important. Shanahan has won with so many different types of quarterbacks. You talk about Kirk Cousins, you talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, you talk about Brian Hoyer, you talk about guys like that, Matt Schaub, right? Matt Ryan. He's the traditional white, stable quarterback that just stays in the pocket, average to strong arm. He can do so well with that. But you see what he did with RG3, right? You see him going after somebody like Trey Lance. There's upside there. You saw how much he was in love with Josh Allen. There's different molds. There's, we can win with this. Then there's, imagine what we could do with this. You know what I mean? So I would argue Brock Purdy, Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo, we can win with this. We can win with this, guys. Then you've got the imagine what we could do with this. That's Josh Allen, right? That's RG3. That's Trey Lance. And that's the difference. All right, we can win with this. We can make this work. Or, holy freaking cow. And look at Andy Reid. Andy Reid's going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame coach, whatever else. Amazing. That dude never won a Super Bowl ever in his entire career until he got the imagine what we could do with this guy in Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he had McNabb, he had Vic, he had Alex Smith, he had all these quarterbacks and got to NFC Championship after NFC Championship. It was great, but never won a Super Bowl until he got that freak quarterback, and it was just this perfect meld. And now they've been to 5, straight AFC championships, won 2 Super Bowls in 5 years. That's what's there. And so, I want to see, imagine what we could do with this. That's what I want. That's what we want. Yatsik, what's up, man? He says, what's the depth of quarterbacks in the draft? Depth, I think is what he's saying. I only asked to ascertain the likelihood of a team overpaying for Trey in a trade. It's possible, but again, unless somebody's willing to trade, what has Trey shown? I could play both sides of this. Imagine you're a GM for the Titans or the Jets or the Texans. I'm trying to think of as many connecting teams as possible that need quarterbacks. What are you willing to trade 2 first-round picks to get Trey Lance? What has he shown you that says he's worth that? I don't think that he has. Now, other side of that, what has Trey shown you that says he's a bust? Injuries? Well, you go back and you look at those injuries. He hit his head on a helmet. All right, cool. His ankle got snapped in half. He got rushed, 22 times in his first career start against one of the top defenses and got his knee tweaked. I don't think that says injury prone, but the game film sure as hell does not say bust. And again, I put that up on Patreon if you haven't checked that out yet already. Just 49ers rush. Just type in 49ers and Patreon and Google, pulls up. And we're going to be starting our 1994 series where we are going to do Zoom Hangouts once a week. I'm going to start that next week. Once a week where we do a Zoom Hangout and we watch one of the games from the 1994 Super Bowl championship season. So we're going to go through those together. So we'll be hanging out and we can all talk and whatever. And I'm going to be sharing my screen as we watch these old 1994 49ers games. And we're going to go through them. We're just going to, maybe we'll do like a half a week or something. I don't know how we're going to do it because the games are so long, but we're just going to get together, bring a beer, sit down, talk, reminisce, talk about our team now while that game's on and stuff, and just try to create the 49ers community that we're missing since no football's on. We're going to be doing that. So if you want those things, breakdowns, they're going to be up on there, draft breakdowns, all that kind of stuff. Again, just type in 49ers and Patreon. We're the first one to pull up, or you can go to patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast. That's there. Anyway, that's where it is. Now, I don't know. And I just want to say this. And we're going to spend a lot of time on the draft quarterbacks that I like. I've not watched draft film on them yet. I'm just getting all my stats and analytics and storylines and all that stuff together. Josh is helping me with that big time. So that's what we got going there. But I'm excited. Oh, and speaking of Josh right there, he says Patriot is fire. I think as soon as you sign up, you get access to everything. So if you're wanting to watch some of the guys that were redshirted this year, like Nick Sikel, Jason Poe, Quantrez Knight, those types of guys, we have that film up. You just type their name in the search field and you can watch their breakdowns currently as is. You want to see Samuel Womack, you want to see those guys. That is up on there currently, and we're just going to keep adding to it. So this was going to be a short show. Sorry, my niece is in town, which I'm so pumped about. I'm taking her skiing for the first time. She flew out from Georgia, and so I'm excited. Going to take her up to Big Bear and get her on the slopes for the first time. We got a lot of content coming your way. Just stay tuned. Appreciate you guys. You are incredible, and man, we're going to make it through this offseason, and our goal is to make it as enjoyable as possible and have a good time doing it. And most of that's going to be over on Patreon. So thank you guys so much. And until next time, stay strong, faithful.